So Ian Bell has released new information about his new sim GTR Revival. While not a lot of information, there are some quite interesting things there. Not only it talks about the future of what is supposed to be GTR Revival, but also some insight about his old tire model and how it operates with Automobilista 2. Well, if you excuse the new cat is quite a menace, let's get into this. The only content that was released isn't really that exciting. What is more interesting is in the tweet reply. So what we have here is basically an Audi R8 GT3, probably even one. I don't think this is an Evo 2, and to a track that kind of seems to me to be Interlagos, because you can see some of the towers at the back. On this particular screenshot, it seems to be T1. And on this screenshot, it seems to me to be the main straight. Now, most of you will be saying, well, GT3 game, apparently, but I don't think that's the case. Well, it's confirmed here that is not the case, that they are planning to revive the classics from GTR 2. GTR 2 basically had a lot of cars, GT cars from the start of the 2000s, and I think this would be the case. Hopefully we can bring some back, or they can bring some back from popular mod packs that made GTR 2 such a big name in sim racing in the early 2000s. In my opinion, Slightly Mad Studios and Project Cars 2, they've pushed the graphics in sim racing quite a lot. In my opinion, years later, since Project Cars 1 was launched, it's still a beautiful game. And now we have confirmation over here that the DLSS3, I think DLSS3 is what Ian Bell is mentioning here, is already in the works. So likely everything else that it will be FSR or the Intel equivalent will be there as well. But this won't be the Madness engine. Everything will be built ground up, according to him. Because this is a new sim racing title, the all-important how about the physics will always appear. There's this question from Christopher Elliott. He was an R-Factor 2 developer. Yes, on the spectrum, is it going to be accessible or hardcore? To which Ian Bell replies, it's very accurate and therefore very accessible. I really like this take. I know a lot of you will be skeptical about this. Of course, it's Ian Bell is going to always say the best out of his products. That's his job. But there is a very big grain of truth here. When it says very accurate and therefore very accessible, it kind of reminds me that a lot of cars in sim racing tend to be more difficult than they need to be. Racing cars generally have a lower floor but a very high skill ceiling. That means if you really want to drive a car fast, you need to hit that ceiling. But if you go inside one of these cars and you drive 80%, 70%, these cars won't be that much difficult, especially GT3s. As for the engine itself, it says it's going to be a new ground-up engine. So that means Seta 2, which is the name of the new tire engine, is going to be completely new, not related to Seta 1 at all. So completely new code. Physics leads me to the next set of tweets where it said, you do the visuals, so the new team, Straight 4, and Renato and the boys, which are the Razer guys, they'll handle the bits under the hood. To which Ian replies, the bits under the hood, it's basically Seta 1, and apparently it's the same code for Automobilista 1.5. It's a nice bit of insight. And continuing with this, states here, it took Razer over 3 years to fix broken physics in Madness and Seta, to which Ian Bell replies, the model wasn't broken. There were some interference with old code, but the model itself wasn't broken. And from the millions of lines of code that Razer got, they only improved 6 of it. So basically, what he's saying that the original tire model was already good enough, or was already very good, and very little was made to actually improve the old Seta 1. But regardless, we're talking about a new tire model, which will be Seta 2. But there's a little more information about this game, or at least about the vision of this game that Ian wants to bring in. And you have to look at his tweets. He's confirming a strategic partnership with Razer, very likely for the information or to help with the tire model. So they will bring the information, or maybe what they learns on Automobilista 2 into this new GTR Revival. There are other pieces of information. For example, Stephen Baysted was the composer for the Project Cars series soundtrack. He's coming back to build it for GTR Revival. In my opinion, that is an excellent piece of news. And the last bit of information is this video posted by Austin Argonoski a few months ago, and I think this is something they want to bring in because they are bringing a patent in, I'm not sure if it's accepted or not, of an AI synthesized race engineer. In this case, is using the voice of Ben Collins, the Stig. I urge you to check out this video. The link will be in the description because it's super interesting. While there is not a lot of information you can bring from just a couple of screenshots alone and just a couple of tweets, you can start to build an idea of what he's trying to replicate here. I think he's trying to pick up where GTR 2 has left and pick up where Project Cars 2 has left as well, and bring you the next Project Cars, but with a more GTR vibe. While there is not admittedly a lot going around here, I think the answers are kind of pretty interesting, and they give a little bit of insight. So when we put the context with everything they want to bring in, like the AI, the Seta 2 tire model, it starts to seem that he's trying to maybe create sort of a hybrid between Project Cars 2 and the old GTR titles, which isn't really that bad at all. But of course, bringing all the information that they had through the years, with Ray's also bringing information to help with the tire model, and also with new currents, in this case, the AI voice. Maybe we can have, I don't know, not only Ben Collins, but somebody else will say, okay, we can also put our voice, maybe Jeremy Clarkson, who knows, we can have Jeremy Clarkson as a crew chief. Sadly, we shouldn't have any type of gameplay for a bit. I am told that it's going to take a while in the game. At this moment, it's really not something you want to see, nor something you want to play, because it's still in very heavy development. I'm interested in this game. It has piqued my curiosity. It's something interesting. Maybe we'll have, you know, a spiritual successor to GTR 2 and also to Project Cars 2 at the same time. I would love to see that, with handling that is better than Project Cars 2, and I actually liked Project Cars 2 handling with all the information they want to bring in. And hopefully, if we get only 50% what Ian is promising, we should have a pretty decent game. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about this? Is this hype or waffle? Are you expecting anything out of this? And I would also like to thank all the channel members for making this channel a possibility.